folks. This is Brian Davis, and I have an April haul. I know we're getting it like pretty long into May now, but I'm going to do an April haul anyway, because why not? Now, actually, probably about more of half my overall haul was obtained at Tampa Screams, and you probably already saw that video. So alas, there you go. So this is gonna just be me going through some stuff I picked up at a thrift store, and then there's might be some record store day hauls in there. Okay, so here we go, and the first thing I'm gonna pick out of the bag is we're getting started on a rather dubious note, folks. Black Cadillac with Randy Quaid. Yeah, this is not the best movie in the world. I got it out of the thrift store for like $1, I think. Um, it's okay. It's actually not bad. Throughout the movie. I'll explain in a minute. The plot kind of concerns these kids, and they're on their way home. I think from like school, from college, and they're kind of like taking their one kid has like his younger brother with them, and they're going out on a joyride together. And what happens is they run afoul of this black Cadillac, and the black Cadillac's like following them around, and it's kind of like Duel, only not as good. But anyway, in all seriousness here, um, uh, yeah, like Randy Quaid's in it. He plays a cop, and it's it's okay. It's one of those movies that it's made on a limited budget, and that in and unto itself is not a bad thing. But it kind of has a stupid ending. Like it's the whole ending is just dumb. Especially like the motivation of the person and like all this stuff, because it's almost like it's building towards this like whole I know what you did last summer thing, the sins of the past and all this crap. And then like when you find out what actually happened, you're like, that's it? Well, the kids didn't like run over somebody's dog or kill somebody's family member by mistake? I don't know. That's just me though. Maybe some people like it. Because I looked it up on IMDb, and that movie definitely has its defenders, and I'm not one of them. But then again, it's okay. It's okay. And next is a book I got from the thrift store. The Bloodstone by Ken Elio? Ken. Oh, it's Ulo. Ulo. Yeah. And yeah, this is I don't know. It looks like some like sort of demonic thing. I've never read it, but it looks like it's a paperback original, and I do like those because they're usually trashy, and like it's got one of these like you see in the old VC Andrews books. Hang on a minute, I'm gonna get a better shot of that, where it's got like the old like gate like die cut cover, and then you open it and it's like, what do you get? You get, hang on a minute, spooky image inside. Ooh. Yeah, like I said, I haven't read this book. It's just, it is what it is. And next up is, let's see what we get here. And it could be anything. Um, um, Color of Night. Color of Night. There's some sleazy 90s goodness right there. Yes, and as you can see, it's the unrated version. Now, yeah, Color of Night, the unrated version. Yes. Now, the plot is like Bruce Willis, after his buddies murdered, Bruce Willis is called in to take over his buddies like private practice because they're both like psychiatrists or psychologists, something like that. And he meets the patients, and to make a long story short, one of them is a killer, and the patients are being bumped off one by one. And so it's kind of like a thriller, but it's an erotic thriller. So there's like, nudity and sex and all that good stuff. And this is actually, if you can see that, that is the this is the unrated version of this. Um, Basically, I mean, they call it a director's cut on here, but it's basically kind of like an unrated version. And unfortunately, it seems like in this modern age of collecting, we seem to be getting away from releasing unrated cuts for things, because it seems like you can't find the unrated cut to Hellraiser 3, you can't find the unrated cut to Angel Heart, and they keep releasing the R-rated cuts, and they need to knock that shit off, because we want to see these movies the way the director intended them, damn it. And that's all I'm going to say about Color of Night, except to say that Jane Marsh in that movie has like the therapist or the patient he hooks up with, because it's in these movies it's always like more or less a given that he's gonna fall for his patient. Anyway, though, Jane Marsh, the female patient he falls for, and that's the actress's name, not the character's name, is like ridiculously hot in this movie. So, that's why you want the unrated version. Okay, moving on here. Here we go. What's this one? Whirly Girl. Ooh. And honest and truthfully, when I first saw this movie in the store, I thought two things, and I was wrong on both of them, actually. Speaking of hotties, I thought this one right here was Pamela Anderson at first. I totally did. And then I looked at her closely. I'm like, that's not Pamela Anderson. So I had the cover in my hand, and I was just like looking at it. And then this is the second thought I had, and I was evidently wrong about as well, is I thought this was like some sort of sex comedy, but it's not. It's like it's more of like a um a like a dance kind of movie, I guess. Because if you remember that song by Axo from like the early 80s, whoa, 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 whirly girl, whirly girl. This movie is supposedly about this girl who inspired the song. Well, not this girl, this is just the actress, but you know what I mean. That's kind of what the movie's about. And okay, what's next here? What is next? Yeah, we could do this one. A movie called Last Night. And this movie came out, I want to say, in like the early 2000s, maybe? Somewhere in there? I don't know, but it's kind of like about uh, these people kind of figure out, as you can see from the cover there, especially that newspaper headline, that it's basically the last night of planet Earth. It's either the last night for human civilization on planet Earth, or it's literally the last night for the planet itself. I don't know. If I had to guess, I'd say the former rather than the later. And it's really just kind of about like how the people deal with the fact that it's the last night, I guess. And yeah, it just looked kind of interesting. I don't have an opinion about it one way or the other because I haven't seen it, but I do have opinion about this one. For the Clint Eastwood collection, you gotta have Coogan's Bluff. And this is a movie directed by his Eastwood's old buddy Don Siegel, who, of course, they also did Dirty Harry together. And I guess this was a little bit before Dirty Harry. And basically, it's kind of like in this movie, like Clint Eastwood is a cop named Coogan, obviously, who he ends up going to the from Arizona to New York because he captures this fugitive on the Indian reservation. And like there's this weird thing that happens where the Indian has to go in for like a psych eval, the criminal does. And so Clint East and for some reason he's got to go to New York for that because evidently, like, that was the only place they could send him, I guess, is Bellevue in New York, something like that. And so anyway, though, Clint Eastwood's got to go to New York to retrieve him so he can go back to Arizona following his psych eval and stand trial for killing his wife. And yeah. And so Clint's got to go, and then of course once he gets there, the guy escapes, and Clint's got to like track him down through the Big Apple and deal with this little hottie who's basically the Indian's adolescent girlfriend. Because, this was the 70s. This was back in the day where you could be like 40 years old and dating some adolescent girl, and people didn't give a shit. They didn't either. It's like, fuck it, man. He's just, he's just living the life. But anyway, though, yeah, this is actually a good movie, and they call it kind of like the precursor to Dirty Harry, and it kind of is somewhat, and it's different, but Coogan is kind of like he is kind of like of that same cloth, I guess, because he's morally he kind of does some things that are shifty in the name of justice. Like there's this one part where he's like romancing this female police officer because he wants to see like uh the files she has on the teenage girl because she works with girls who are on parole. So basically, he just wines her and dines her so he could sneak a look at her files. He's not nice, I tell you. He's not nice at all. And let's see, what else do we have in this bag? Oh yeah, here's one I actually saw at Tampa Screams, and that is Street Hawks. And I don't know anything about this show. I just got it on a whim basically, and I could see it was on the Cartoon Network. So if anybody watching this knows about it, you can tell me if it's any good or not. I do like cartoons though. I do tend to watch a lot of cartoons and enjoy cartoons and this and that. And so yeah, Street Hawks. And let's see what is next. Ooh, we're getting to the nitty gritty, folks. So anyway, speaking of the VC Andrews die cut covers, My Sweet Adrena. And what's the spooky image inside look like? Ooh, look at that. They're like haunted by the it looks like the father's ghost or something like that. Like that, like she's Leonardo DiCaprio in Gangs of New York. My father's ghost. I'm just kidding. But anyway, I actually have read this novel, but it's been a really, really, really long time. And I remember liking it, actually. Now, when I say that, I'm going to preface this by saying, like, according to Stephen King and several other people, V.C. Andrews is not the best writer in the world. Or wasn't the best writer in the world because she's passed. I'm literally probably the only one on the internet who's going to say this, but I'll say it. Rest in peace, V.C. Andrews. And yeah, it's basically from what I remember though, it's kind of like this girl ends up living with like I think her aunt and her cousin or something like that. And the cousin's kind of a bit of a teenage nymphomaniac, but that's kind of not very integral to the plot. And from what I remember, like she ends up going back to her aunt's house after like her parents die or something, or her dad dies or something like that. And basically, she kind of has a split personality, I think, based on something that happened to her when she was younger. And that's all I'm going to say on that subject. I think. Don't quote me on that. I was like literally what, 14, 15 when I read this thing. Yeah. I liked VC Andrews though. VC Andrews is some good memories for me, man. Good memories. And speaking of VC Andrews, I'm going to give you all a joke right now, or a riddle. What do you get when you have a VC Andrews, but it's more fucked up? So it's like a more fucked up version of VC Andrews. You get Disturb Not the Dream. Yes. By Paula Trachtman. Paula Trachtman. There you go. You can see her name on there. And yeah, man, this is basically like full on messed up, like incest and like basically everything VC Andrews wrote about, but like more so. More so. Um, and you know, there's all sorts of like debauchery going on in this. There's this weird thing where like this guy keeps getting this woman pregnant because he's getting revenge on her. There's a older lady having sex with a teenage boy. There's like brother and sister action in this book. There's like all sorts of crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. And yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, it's good kind of like if you like VC Andrews and you like other trashy books like that. But I will say this might be a little too hard for your average, like, VC Andrews fan, maybe. Because this is more. Now, VC Andrews is kind of like fucked up for what she is. Because if you read, like Flowers in the Attic, there's like incest in that. There's the whole idea that the kids are being killed off deliberately. There's the freaking their grandma's a bitch who like whips them and stuff like that. So it's not exactly the Hallmark Channel, but it's like so, so, but there's still like a lot of teenagers and teenage girls in particular read VC Andrews. So for them, this might be a little too intense. But if you're one of those people who read V.C. Andrews and was like, yeah, this is okay, but it's not fucked up enough, this is kind of the book you need right here. And yeah. And now I got the big haul from this thrift store run. And by the way, I forgot to mention it, but this is, I think it's called Manatee Memorial Thrift Store in Bradenton, Michigan. Very, very. Bradenton, Michigan. Bradenton, Florida. Manatee Memorial Thrift in Bradenton, Florida. Why would there be something called manatees with manatee in the cover or in the name on in Michigan? That makes no sense. Anyway, now, a final thing we're going to talk about today, and like I said, this is a fine. This cost me $5, but I think it's worth it, and that is the complete series of Buck Rogers with Gil Gerard. Hell yes. I remember this when I was a little boy, man. It's like you have the robot going beep, 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 beep. And you had all these little hotties in there, and you had like Buck like being a manly man and shooting his laser cannon or his laser gun like all over the place. And of course, the other thing, we can't forget about Killer Kane. That's right, Killer Kane. And anyway, look at the art on this though. This is like beautiful, man. This is really well done. Um, yeah. And then on the back, it's cool too. So this is yeah, yeah. There's glare, but yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. And yeah, Buck Rogers, man. I mean, what can you say about Buck? And that's kind of what it looks like on the inside. I'm going to show you. It even came with the booklet. That's kind of the one thing I wanted to show you. So that's pretty cool, man. I mean, not that you can't find out what the episodes are about from the internets, but it's cool. You all know Buck Rogers. A guy gets frozen, gets thawed out in like the 25th century, and yeah, yeah, yeah. you know, and you know, yeah, Buck Rogers. Buck Rogers is cool. And speaking of cool, what I say about those, you're probably thinking, well, if the video's done, what about those record store day hauls? Okay, what about them? Okay, the first haul is the Donnas. Look at that. Look at that, folks. And this is just like their early singles. So it's just like a compilation thing. It's probably one of those weird sounding, not weird sounding, but raw sounding like demos records. You know what I mean? I've actually wanted to get something by the Donnas for a while because I do like the Donnas, and I just haven't. It's like you know what I mean. It's like just like rock and roll, man. like like girl rock, yeah. And funnily enough, I had like three albums on hold there, and or well, not three albums on hold because the record store Jerk Dog Records in Bradenton, you can check them out. Jerk Dog, it's weird that they're set up for record store days. Weird because it's like you can order records and they'll order them in for you. At least on record store day, because usually Doug, who runs the place, a guy named Doug, he'll usually any other time he'll order records for you and hold them for you until you pick them up. But during record store day, because it's like crazy in there, it's like first come first serve, right? And so, funnily enough, one of the records I ordered from there, speaking of the girl rock thing, was uh, a Bad Reputation by Joan Jett, and somebody actually picked that up. In fact, only one of the records I ordered I was able to get. And for those of you who really, really want to see it, there's what the back cover looks like. And yeah, so I didn't get Joan Jett. So this I think, oh, sorry about that. This is kind of like a what you call a oh man, I'm getting a brain fart. Sorry. This is kind of what you call a like a consolation prize. That's what I was thinking of. This is a consolation prize for not getting Joan Jett, but I think it's a pretty damn good one. So, yeah. Next up is a record I got that wasn't part of Record Store Day, actually. I only got two Record Store Day albums because they are expensive. But the other one I got was this or well, the other one I got we're going to show in a minute, but I did pick up one more record that wasn't a Record Store Day release, and this is this one. Yes, the cover that's going to get me flagged on YouTube. No, actually, I guess other people have shown off this record before, but this is Twin Temple, and this is, as you can see right there, folks, satanic doo-wop. A lot of people think if you need to do a satanic music album, it's got to be metal. But these people are like, no, man, you could do 60s doo-wop, but make it about Satan. That's the way to go. And yeah, look at that goat mask and boobies, and blood, and a cape, like a Bela Lugosi Dracula cape. It just doesn't get any better than that. And, this is definitely one of those, if you've never heard of these guys, and I actually heard of these guys, I can't say I've actually listened to them yet, because you can see this still in the plastic. That's why you get that insane glare. And, but I have heard of them. And, I guess this record was recently re-released. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And the back of this one is actually kind of cool. Because normally with the backs of records, like the backs of the Donna ones just showed like their albums or, whatnot. But this one has like an altered skulls. This is like some Jeffrey Dahmer type stuff. Except in Jeffrey Dahmer's case, it'd be nothing but skulls. So anyway, um, that's Twin Temple. And if you like your satanic doo-wop, and who doesn't, Now, here is the one perfecto thing. This is my record store haul day, my second record store haul day record, and the only other one I got. But this actually was what actually got me to get up and go to record store day. Because according to what Shane was saying, that's my brother, he was saying, like, at the store, like, soundtracks aren't really all that popular. And so it would probably be there. And the other two records I ordered, which would have been Generation X, the Billy Idol's early band, and of course Bad Reputation, Joan Jett, weren't there. But I got Twin Temple and the Donnas, so I'm happy. But this was, and like I said, this is what I actually left the house for. Because my brother, because usually I never do record store day because I don't necessarily care about some of the records being released. Because I mean, I do have a lot of other albums, but I consider myself, I guess, primarily a soundtrack collector. And as such, I wasn't. I usually don't go, but my brother goes. But my brother usually only goes later in the day, and he'll pick up whatever's left. Because usually he doesn't really care. But me, I actually had them order in a soundtrack this year for me. So now it's such because I'm such a big soundtrack collector and stuff like that. I had to go get it, and it is from Terror Vision Records. Gotta like that name, huh? Here is, yes, Hello Mary Lou, Prom Night Part 2. And I'm sorry about that glare. Gee, that just made it worse. But yeah, Hello Mary Lou. I should have opened these records just so there's no glare. Look at that, though. Isn't she a beaut? And I love this movie. This is actually my favorite movie of the Prom Night franchise. I like the first one. I know the first one kind of gets like hang on a minute. I'm trying to get my fingers out of there. I know the first one kind of gets crapped on because like the bad disco music and some of the cheesy scenes, like that part where the head slides on the dance floor. But I like that movie. I do like that movie. But I do think the second one's actually better, and I think the fourth one's pretty good. If there's a weak link, I'd actually, funnily enough, say the third one, even though some people would say the first one. But even the third one has entertainment value. Does this mean I'm going to go on record as saying Prom Night's one of the stronger horror franchises? I think that's debatable. And I'm not really one of those people anyway, unlike a lot of people in the horror community who thinks their opinion means all that. It doesn't really in the end. But yeah, Prom Night 2, like I said, this made like standing in line and going into a place, because Doug's Place is not the biggest in the world, and being crowded in there like sardines and stuff, because I got the record I wanted. So I'm really happy about that. And this is an awesome record too. The one thing I will say about it is the back isn't really like, it's just like Mary Lou's death list. Because if you've seen the movie, it's the whole like the prom queen comes back from the dead like 30 years later to get revenge, and this is like all the people she's gonna go after. And look, she crossed three off the list there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Billy is actually the great, the immortal Michael Ironsides. That's right. Anyway, though, those are my April hauls, and I'm sorry this video took so long to make because I actually filmed it once before, And the camera work was even worse on that one than this one, if you can imagine that. I need to get a stand for my phone at some point or something. I don't know. This is good enough for now, though, I think. Jillian, so until next time, and I think I'm gonna start doing these every month, actually. Though, uh, June's I could already tell you is going to be a little different because it's going to be like a a like there's going to be a bigger vinyl haul in that for sure. So I might even do a video that's just of like vinyl records I got this month because I've already got like a crap ton of them. I got like 21 records, maybe 21 records, I think. Um, well, one of them hasn't come yet, but basically 21. Well, maybe a little less, actually. Maybe like 19 or something like that. Whatever, though, it's definitely more than 15. So between 15 and 20. Um, so expect a vinyl haul. I might do a standalone book haul. So, sorry about that, folks. I had a bug on me, by the way. I live in Florida here. Things get pretty wild. There's like bugs and animals and all sorts of cool stuff. That's kind of what I like about living in Florida, actually. I like animals and stuff like that. Anyway, though, this has been fun, actually. I'm going to upload this, and then next month we're going to do another one. And in between, to look forward to, I'm going to be doing a video on cards, maybe even a couple of videos on cards, because I have like some Garbage Pail Kids I want to show off. I have some Marvel cards. If you remember the Marvel cards from like the early 1990s, I have some of those I want to show off, and all sorts of cool stuff like that. So yeah, this is Brian Davis saying goodbye for now, and we'll catch you next time. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to say real quick, actually. um, I forgot. Not only am I going to be doing videos on cards probability, in all probability, but expect the second Horror Fanatics to be coming out soon. We're going to be talking about horror fans this time, and this will probably make us a lot of enemies. But you know what? I don't care. Now, this is Brian Davis saying, see you next time. Out.